That's how much the United States government was offering for a single man. Not a president, not a general, not a warlord from some distant war zone. A drug lord from Jalisco, Mexico. 73,000 deaths. That's how many people. 73,000 deaths. That's how many people his organization has been linked to since 2010. 23 out of 32 Mexican states under his cartel's influence or control. $6 billion in drug trafficking proceeds, confiscated from just one of his lieutenants, his own son. On February 22, 2026, the Mexican military finally found him. What happened next shook an entire country to its core. To understand how CJNG, the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, became the most feared criminal organization in the Western Hemisphere, you have to go back to where it all started. In the early 2000s, a man named Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes was just another mid-level operator inside the Sinaloa cartel. He ran logistics, he managed shipments, he was efficient, quiet, and utterly ruthless. They called him El Mencho, a name that would one day make soldiers freeze and politicians disappear. In 2010, after the death of a key Sinaloa boss, the criminal landscape cracked. El Mencho saw his opening. He didn't just split from the Sinaloa cartel, he declared war on it. He declared war on the Zetas, on the Gulf Cartel, on anyone standing between him and total dominance. His message was simple: get out or get buried. And unlike most cartel leaders who talk big and move slow, El Mencho delivered. In 2011, Mexico woke up to something it had never seen before. 35 bodies, 35 human beings, were dumped on a busy highway overpass in Veracruz, in the middle of the day, in full public view. They were members of Los Zetas, one of the most violent cartels on the continent. And CJNG left a message. This is what happens to those who harm the people. We are CJNG. That single act did something no cartel had done in years. It announced a new power to all of Mexico and to the world. Within months, CJNG had expanded into Colima, Michoacan, and Guanajuato. By 2014, they had declared war on every major cartel simultaneously. That wasn't recklessness, that was strategy. Because El Mencho wasn't building a cartel. He was building an empire. What made CJNG different from every other cartel wasn't just their violence. It was their structure. El Mencho didn't run a gang. He ran something closer to a private military, trained sicarios, armored vehicles, drones rigged with explosives, rocket-propelled grenades. In May 2015, CJNG gunmen shot down a Mexican military helicopter with an RPG. An attack so brazen it stunned defense officials across the country. They didn't hide from the army. They hunted it. The U.S. government took notice. Analysts at the DEA described CJNG as one of the most significant threats to the public health, public safety, and national security of the United States. Not just Mexico, the United States. Because here's what most people don't realize about the Jalisco cartel. The fentanyl killing Americans, the synthetic opioid responsible for over 100,000 overdose deaths per year in the U.S., a massive portion of it flows through CJNG's networks. They don't just ship drugs, they manufacture them. They control the supply chain from the precursor chemicals sourced in Asia, through their labs in Mexico, all the way to street corners in Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York. But here's what truly set CJNG apart from every cartel before it. El Mencho didn't just expand, he franchised. Instead of sending his own men everywhere, he did something more sophisticated. He partnered with existing local criminal groups. He gave them the brand, the supply, and the protection. In return, they gave him territory, revenue, and loyalty. By 2025, this franchise model had extended CJNG's reach beyond Mexico into Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and Australia. Researchers testified before the U.S. Senate that CJNG and the Sinaloa Cartel are by far the most dangerous criminal groups in the hemisphere, with a global reach that rivals multinational corporations. They weren't just a Mexican problem anymore, they were a global one. For over a decade, El Mencho was untouchable. He moved constantly, never slept in the same place twice, kept almost no digital footprint. His rivals called him the Ghost because he could vanish at will. The DEA hunted him for years. So did Interpol. So did the Mexican military. And then, a moment of human error. Security forces began tracking a romantic partner of El Mencho's. Someone close to him passed information, a location, a safe house, a window of time, in the forested mountains of Tapalpa, Jalisco, the same state where his empire was born. The Mexican military moved in. February 22, 2026. El Mencho was wounded in the firefight alongside 2 bodyguards. All 3 were airlifted toward Mexico City. None of them arrived alive. But here's the thing about empires. They don't fall when the king dies. Within hours of El Mencho's death, 370 violent incidents erupted across 25 Mexican states. Narco blockades, arson, assassinations, gunfights with soldiers. 25 National Guard troops were killed in a single day. Mexico deployed 9,500 soldiers nationwide. The cartel hadn't collapsed. It had retaliated. El Mencho is dead, but CJNG is not. In Part 2, we go inside what happens next. The power vacuum? Who steps up after El Mencho? Internal factions within CJNG, and who controls what? U.S.-Mexico intelligence cooperation, what it means going forward. Could CJNG splinter into something even more dangerous? What this means for fentanyl trafficking in 2026.